Hello, I'm Edward St. Pé. Welcome to Nightique. Well, tonight we meet the former Chief of Police in Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. Lindsey Horton. And an interesting side note, for 50 years, Lindsey Horton has been involved in the martial arts, and he has also become, through these many years, a master in the martial arts, and he teaches, and he's had a long relationship with Jackson State University as an instructor in the martial arts. And we're going to talk to him about his police work, rising to become the Chief of Police in Jackson, and how it worked having a life that was enmeshed in the martial arts. How did they work together? Very interesting perspective. Lindsey Horton, next.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Welcome to Nightique. I'm Edward St. Pé. Well, with us we've got the recently retired Chief of Police in Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. Lindsey Horton, and thank you for being with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
I really appreciate you being with us. Having been with the JPD for your whole career,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And
That's
being
correct.
a Jackson native, I wonder how many people out there know the other side of the coin, that you've been a martial arts instructor and a master in Taekwondo and
Taekwondo, that is correct.
For,
Yes, sir.
for how many years have you been practicing that?
Wow, 50 years, 52 to be exact.
In teaching too?
Teaching, yeah. Teaching 43 of those 52 years. So.
What an intertwining of two very interesting disciplines, martial arts and police work. Did they work well together for you in your career in law enforcement?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It worked quite well. But as a predicate, though, just allow me to say that at the age of 11, of course, getting involved in martial arts wasn't exactly for, the purpose of teaching. But allow me to say, though, more definitively as it relates to your question, I think there's a direct correlation and parallel with martial arts or any pugilistic art, be it wrestling, be it martial arts, or be it judo, or anything to supplement what law enforcement officers are charged with doing. And contrary to what people think, there are those that resist arrest occasionally, all right? And we have every reason to arrest them, and they will sometimes tell us, well, sir, ma'am, as the case may be, I'm not going. And our job, of course, is to see that they go and get them to comply. And martial art has also helped as far as the discipline side. People often talk about that. One of the primary implements that we carry is our sidearm. All right, there's quite a bit of discipline. It's been said that when you use a gun, it requires 90% inspiration and 10% perspiration, meaning it doesn't require a whole lot to pull a trigger, which means that you have to be very judicious about when to draw your weapon, when to fire it, and make certain that you strike what you're firing at.
Now, in the news recently, we see an inexperienced officer who pulls out what he thought was a taser,
yes,
and accidentally pulls his gun out and kills the man.
Yes, sir.
And of course, the man was involved in a criminal act. It seems like he was doing something illegal with guns, but still, he was killed on the spot by an inexperienced. Now, would you attribute something like that to a man who they say was not trained correctly? In fact, he was an older guy, a retired guy who came in and joined the force. That could be a situation where he wasn't trained and did not judiciously use the weapon because of lack of training, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, you know, most of the training that we have as law enforcement profession, most of it we develop what we call appreciable skills, meaning that if you do not continue to maintain your training, then they can what? Depreciate. And I'm inclined to think that's what happened with this gentleman, because he showed a tremendous amount of remorse almost immediately.
He did.
He immediately accepted that he had made an error in firing that weapon. And personally, I think the error came in that the fact that he was carrying the weapon in close proximity to each other, in the portation of the weapon in which you carry it. Your sidearm, we call them sidearms because that's where they rest. They generally rest on your strong side. I'm right-handed, and of course I carry my weapon on the right side. The other weapons that we use, be it mace, be it a baton, be it a flashlight, be it a taser, are what we call intermediate weapons, and they should be carried to the off side, and you should make a deliberate attempt to access it and present it. And for whatever reason, he appeared to be carrying it in an area close to his sidearm, and impulsively and in the heat of the situation, he inadvertently drew his dangerous sidearm. That's unfortunate.
I can see where in the heat of the moment, just about anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Because of the adrenaline that's happening during a confrontation like that.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
I would think that being a martial arts practitioner and a teacher, a master in the arts, would have been a great asset to you as being in law enforcement and then becoming chief. I would think it would be a great asset to you when most people don't have that experience.
Yes, yes. Well, I take pride in the fact that over my 30-year career that I didn't spend a lot of time in internal affairs, right? The very nature of our job is to reach out to bad folk. It's been said that when citizens need help, they call police. When police need help, they call SWAT, right? I was a member of our SWAT team for about 11 years. I ascended up to assistant team commander, and I had the occasion to train SWAT team members as well. So with that in mind, I think it's important that we understand the various levels of force that should be used, right, as we bring people to justice, if you will. We can't be both what we said, judge, jury, and prosecutor. And we have to be very, very careful about how we do our job. I remind people also, too, Edward, is that the word police is both a verb and a noun. It is how we do our job, and it is what we are. We are police, and our job is to police. And oftentimes, we do it differently. It's within the confines of our general orders. That's what we call them, SOPs, standard operating procedure. They call them general orders because they are just that. They're general. They're not specific. We can send 30 police officers out on a particular assignment and ask them to police a particular area. Each of them may police, if you will, the area differently, yet within the confines of their general orders. Okay? So our citizens, I think we need to do a better job of educating them relative to what we do and how we do our job, and it reflects personality as well.
Okay, here's a tough question. I think with everything going on in the news right now, the instances where people are being, well, in some cases killed, like we've got the situation in Baltimore. Is there a systemic problem within law enforcement as it relates to certain individuals, young black men? What is your opinion?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily racial. I think that when an officer, well, first of all, we all are human, first of all, which means that we have a propensity to show emotion and what have you. And when we recruit, we have to recruit from the general population of the area in which we live, with those that apply, okay? So whomever might apply, we select and try to get the best of those that apply. And when an individual resists arrest or for whatever reason cause a situation that will sometimes be, well, life-threatening, officers in a lot of cases do what they feel that they need to do. Trust me. On occasion, you have that minute minority, all right? it could be one officer can transgress, one officer can misbehave, one officer can operate in a manner that's inconsistent with how he or she was taught. And it casts dispersions on the entire police department. Whether you have 400 police officers or whether you have 4,000 or 42,000 in the case with New York PD, one bad apple, if you will, and it casts dispersions on everyone. So it's important to train as we do every day, and you train the right way. People say practice, practice make perfect. No, in law enforcement, perfect practice makes perfect, and you have to get it right every time. We can't afford to make mistakes. When we make mistakes, people die, people are injured, and what have you. But if I may go back, you asked a question relative to my martial arts ties to law enforcement, and you heard me reference internal affairs. You know, it helped me in that I was disciplined enough that I did not get in a lot of trouble at the bottom. I didn't go to internal affairs a lot, and it's easy to get in a fight. It's easy to strike someone upside their head with a flashlight. It's easy to grab someone in the collar and point at your badge. And, you know, we call that badge courage. Okay, out of the uniform, out of the badge, he's just like anyone else. But then when the uniform goes on and the badge and the gun, all of a sudden now he's become a superhero. Okay? No, we do not train or teach officers to behave like that. But now, being disciplined enough that people could say, you know, I've been called all kinds of names. During the course of my career, I've had the occasion to see people at their best and at their worst. And fortunately, the majority have been at their best, particularly in the citizens of Jackson, seeing people at their best. But we have to be very, very careful, though, to not allow someone else's loss of control, right, to manifest itself in us. Because ultimately, our job is to maintain peace and order.
I guess there's a moment, like you mentioned, your involvement with the SWAT team and such, and
yes,
and there must be a moment at which, I mean, you're in life-threatening work,
all the time.
Going into a friend of mine is the new chief in Flowood,
Yes,
Richard
sir.
McCluskey, and we were talking
him.
at the gym. And you
I know
Richard.
him very well, yes, sir.
We were just talking about an incident where somebody was, there was an incident where a person was shooting recently in their home at imaginary people, whatever it was. There was a mental breakdown a person was having or whatever. So I guess the SWAT team went in there or whatever. But and it got rectified. But you know, when you enter in a situation like that, how do you train the men? What is it? How do the men? What are they thinking as they're entering a building and there is a person in there doing something like that?
Well, it takes a special breed, okay, of both men and women, to first of all to be good police officers. First of all, good police officers. And then we select from those good police officers those special people who want now to go and become a member of our SWAT team. Your basic nature tells you to run away from gunshots. Shots are being fired. Most of the time we have the benefit of knowing when we go on a SWAT call that perhaps you have two people that are dead, right? You have two that are injured, and you may have a multitude of hostages. We know that, at least that much. And we are going into this structure. You know, human nature tells you to go the other way, right? So you have to, I guess, keep your psychiatrist on retainer, and every now and then you have to check in. But we are very, very, and all tactical teams are very, very well trained.
Is that part? I'm sure that's the key. Knowing what to do in the situation.
Yes,
right?
sir. It minimizes the emotional side of it, and most people get upset, much like a kid. When a kid loses options, they can't do anything. They can't fight. They can't run away from home. They can't do anything. So they just stand there and they cry. They just cry. They tend to lose. Emotions tend to rise when you lose options. So training every implement that we're out there. We have a lot of toys, bells and whistles, and we have all kind of chemical agents, and regardless of how big you are, how muscular you might be, how tall you are, we have one thing in common. We must all breathe oxygen, right? So when we compromise your breathing by introducing chemicals into your environment, it causes you to want to be much more compliant, and you're more willing to negotiate with us, and you're more inclined to come out if for no other reason than to get a breath of fresh air. So we don't go in with the sole purpose of just shooting someone. Okay, we would much rather. We have when I was deputy chief prior to becoming chief, I was charged with overseeing our special threat units. That's our bomb squad, our hostage negotiation team, as well as SWAT team. So we would like to let our hostage negotiators talk with individuals first, try to find out what their problems are, and try to get them to submit to means other than what they've chosen to do.
Peacefully.
Peacefully, absolutely.
So that's the first step, try to negotiate.
Absolutely. If it takes all day, because we set the record, we have multiple days. We were at one place, I think, 3.5 days. Out on I-55 over there. It was the best suites then.
I think I remember, yeah.
Yeah, we were out there for 3.5 days negotiating with a young man, and we could have easily gone in and disposed of him, if you will, within the first 10 minutes on scene. But we chose to do it the proper way and negotiate with him. And as such, he walked out, and we were able to get him the help that he needed.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I remember that. Well, okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amanda Rice with Quinn Healthcare, and I believe in the power of exercise. Many patients ask me if they would develop high blood pressure or diabetes just because their parents did. I tell them that although we cannot change our genetics, we can control our diet and level of exercise. Simply making better choices can change your life. I'm Dr. Amanda Rice with Quinn Healthcare, and I want you to know that you are in control.
Well, we're with the recently retired Chief of Police in Jackson, Mr. Lindsey Horton, and so your whole career was with the Jackson Police Department.
That is correct.
And as you retired, you had achieved, I guess, the top post, right?
Well, yeah,
Chief.
That's right, and I was blessed in that regard. Yes.
Did the other police officers generally know that you were also simultaneously a master in the martial arts and teaching all those years too? Pretty much,
yes. I was born and raised here in this city, and I guess my notoriety in martial art had preceded me even prior to joining the police department. And so, yes, officers knew, and they knew that I was a professional martial artist, if you will. I didn't just go around and beat up on people and go to nightclubs and drink and fight. It wasn't like that at all.
In fact, it's just the opposite, isn't it?
Just the opposite.
Tell us about that. That's an insight that I wonder how many people realize, that although you're trained as a warrior, such you know, in so many ways, as a person who understands how to fight, the whole idea about it is to not have to, and there's a spiritual element, right?
For sure. For sure. Well, you can look at me now, and of course I knew at 12 years old that I wouldn't play center for the New York Knicks or for Jackson State University for that matter, because I knew that I'd be vertically challenged, and I wanted to find a sport. I played baseball in high school, and I was decent, right? But martial arts was something that I decided that I would do because it didn't require a whole lot of things. I had limited resources, and I got out of it what I put in it, okay? And of course, at the very, very early age, it was for reasons other than teaching, as I alluded to earlier. And it was shortly after I came to college, as quiet as it's kept. I was also a musician, percussionist, if you will. And there were times when I would step away from our band group, and I'd have to work out because I was competing pretty regularly when I came to college, and some of my, I guess, classmates would see me working out, and they took an interest in it, and they wanted to work out with me, and it went from 5 guys working out with me to 25 to 50 to 100, then 200. Everybody wanted to be Bruce Lee back then.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just overwhelmed with all these folk at the age of 18, if you can imagine. Faculty, staff, students, everyone. All right? And the program just grew. Okay? And I had to make a decision to be, couldn't act like a typical 18-year-old. Not that they all are bad, but you act in a manner consistent and congruent with your age. And at 18, so I had to grow up pretty quickly. Having said that, I realized that this was an opportunity for me, an opportunity, and I call it a ministry of sorts. I had an obligation, and I noticed how I could just command their attention. You know, and everything that we do, good or bad, we learn somewhere, whether it's good or bad. Even the language that we use and street profanity and all that, we learn that from some place, some source. So with that obligation in mind, I chose to start teaching young people, and young men in particular, all right, how to have respect for themselves, and realizing that I had to lead by example. By example, I can't ask them to do anything that I'm not willing to do. Okay, have respect for young ladies in general, and their girlfriends in particular, and their sisters and their mother, grandmother, and whomever, and also respect for authority. Back to the police thing. It's been said the most visible element of government in any municipality is that of a uniformed police officer, or a soldier, if you will, in uniform. Mm-hmm. So a symbol of authority, whether it's your Sunday school teacher, your regular teachers, whomever it might be, it's always yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. All those were always in place. Because with me, of course, it started at home, okay? At home with my parents. Okay, making sure that they inculcated that type thing in me. And of course, I was able to use that as a foundation source as I taught young men and young women to be very competitive martial artists. We went all over this country. We did very, very well. They didn't like seeing us coming because they knew that we were going to be well trained, well disciplined, and that we were not stepping back away
that's
from
those Jackson State guys coming.
Hello, right? Yes sir,
Isn't
absolutely. And I say that, you know, and I look with interest. I see a poster of Muhammad Ali up there. He
right.
says it's not bragging if you can back it up. Yeah. And
well, you know, when we were growing up, I mean, he was like the breakout guy, you know, because where I'm from in New Orleans, I mean, my first memories is like he was one of the first crossover guys, you know, because when we grew up, Muhammad Ali was our hero. Yeah, man. You know what I mean?
He transcended all that other stuff.
He transcended all that stuff.
Yes.
And and you know, and also not to mention an illumination of political insight.
For sure.
Especially coming from a sports guy, you know, who you never heard illuminating political ideas emanating from a sports guy.
How about
and
that?
A world champion at that.
For sure.
All of that.
That's right.
All of that. And then you could say the same thing, we were talking about that recently, even the same thing with Jimi Hendrix. Think about that.
Yeah.
Watching the rock and roll guys, and all of a sudden Jimi Hendrix pops out.
How about that? How about that?
And coming back to America from England, after leaving from America to go to England, coming back as a star.
Listen to you.
Oh, yeah. I know, yeah.
Really?
But so, you know, those were the first crossover guys, you know. But Ali being probably the preeminent one.
For sure.
You know.
For sure.
But so there is a spirituality in the martial arts world.
That's for sure.
Can you talk about that? What is that? Why is the pugilism of the East, if you will, imbued with a spiritualism that we might not have in the pugilistic endeavors of the West?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. One of them is to build self-confidence, first of all. Okay, the entire body used as a temple, and all the phalanges thereof become weapons. It's been said since the beginning of time, man has devised many ways of self-survival. One of the most satisfying thoughts a person could have is the absence of fear. Through martial arts, you can develop this peace of mind as high as you possibly want it. It's strictly up to the individual. With that, it has to do with whatever you believe in, whatever your philosophy in life, be it your personal right or morals or what have you, you stand up for those things, and you use martial arts to as your backbone, if you will, to stand up for what you believe. So having said that, the whole notion of beating someone up or rendering someone unconscious. That's not what it's about. It's about mastering one's body. It's amazing some of the things that I learned to do that I never thought I would be able to do. Stand flat-footed, however vertically challenged I am, and being able to kick someone directly in the face without having to jump. Okay, and techniques of that, spinning 360 degrees, striking someone and landing on one's feet and maintaining your balance. That's a discipline that comes. And pain, if you will. Pain serves a purpose. If something is aching on your body, it let you know that that part of your body needs what? Attention. There are those that have used pain for compliance purposes. Martial art teaches you your threshold for you to take and accept more of it, all right? We've had a student that got struck once and he started to bleed. And the instructor said, well, it's just blood. There's more where that came from.
Now, today, you're still involved with the Jackson State program. Is there a website where viewers can go to learn more about the program at Jackson State?
Well, yes, there is. Of course, jsukarateclub.com. It's under construction right now.
Okay,
because there are some things that we are doing now to upgrade it, and we're reaching out as being the urban university of the state, and as such, we reach out to the community that envelops the university and make sure that they understand what we offer as well.
Well, Chief, it's been a pleasure having you here, an honor having you here.
Hey.
And thank you for coming.
You are welcome.
And thank you for being with us tonight on this edition of Nightique, and we'll see you next time.